What's happening, guys? Welcome back. I guess this is going to kind of be a quick breakdown of Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green. This one was recently announced. I got some thoughts on it. I can't say I like it for Tony, and that's even crazy to hear me say that out loud myself, because there was a point in Tony Ferguson's career that Bobby Green wouldn't touch him. But I'm going to get into that. So let's get into this matchup. All right, let's start with Tony Ferguson, who is 39 years old right now. He stands at 6 feet tall. He has a 76.5-inch reach. He is a black belt from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu under Eddie Bravo. Sports a mixed martial arts record of 25 wins, 8 losses, 12 wins via KO, 8 wins via submission. Tony is a former UFC interim champ at lightweight, and he also won the Ultimate Fighter Season 13. Tony's well versed in wrestling. He has a wrestling background from college. He's trained boxing, obviously jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, and he dabbles in Wing Chun. Tony's Ferguson style? Chaos. It's always been unpredictable chaos, which has worked for him. I mean, he is a tornado of elbows, punches, kicks, knees. His specialty submission is the Darce choke, but it's like a catch-22 when you're unpredictable and creative like that. Because on one hand, your attacks are varied and you throw opponents off guard. They don't know what's coming, but on the other hand, you could leave yourself quite open. And that's been the case with Tony pretty much throughout his career. Sometimes he shows good head movement. Other times he's like willing to get hit, relying on his chin, which historically he's always had a granite chin. But willing to take shots to land one himself, that's gotten him in trouble, specifically against Justin Gaethje. That's the fight that I feel changed Tony Ferguson. That was a vicious beating. Uncomfortable to watch. That fight broke my heart. At one point, I believe Tony was like on a 12-fight win streak. There were some happenings with the UFC, certain circumstances, and I honestly don't think Tony got his fair shake at getting a shot at the title. But that's a whole other video and discussion. I'm going to say Tony Ferguson is a legend of the sport, and I think he's a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. I think he's one of the best lightweights to ever do it, and at his best, a mixed martial arts great. And he's also a character, one of the unintentionally funny fighters of all time. I mean that respectfully. Once again, he's a character, from his social media posts that people simply can't decipher, to his quotes, his lines, his sayings. Tony's the man. Got a lot of love for Tony Ferguson, one of my favorites to watch compete throughout the years. That's a tough dude right there, and at his best, a hell of a fighter. Moving on to Bobby Green. Bobby Green right now is 36 years old, 5'10", 71-inch reach. He's a purple belt in BJJ. Mixed martial arts record, 29 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, 1 no contest. 10 wins via knockout, 8 wins via submission. His record clearly shows that he's diverse, he's dangerous. Bobby Green is a former King of the Cage lightweight champ. He's competed in multiple notable promotions, such as Strikeforce, Affliction, obviously the UFC. Bobby Green, I think the guy's a savage. His style, he primarily relies on his hands, but he can knock you out, he can submit you. He has decent wrestling. I think he's fairly well-rounded. I'm not sure if Bobby Green is considered an elite fighter. He may have hit the top 10. He may be in the top 10 right now. I gotta look at the rankings. But I consider him a good mid-tier guy. Like, if you can get by Bobby Green, you might be going somewhere. Does that mean that I'm boxing Bobby Green in that he can never reach the top? No. I'm just saying that's my opinion of him. I don't think he's at the top of the food chain, but I don't think he's a walk in the park for anybody. Now, onto the matchup itself. I gotta say, guys, I don't like this fight for Tony. I feel like Tony Ferguson is a shell of himself. There was a point where Bobby Green just wouldn't beat Tony Ferguson. But here we are in 2023, and that's a possibility, man. I don't think Tony has been the same since that Gaethje fight. I think that fight took a lot out of him. And even though Bobby Green, he's not the very top of the food chain, I would say that he's a dangerous opponent, specifically his striking. Bobby Green leaves himself open a bit, but I do think he's technical. I think he's sharp. I think once he gets into a flow and he starts tagging you, he's going to keep tagging you. And Tony looks a lot slower. His reflexes don't look there. Again, he looks slower. He just looks off. That last fight against Nate Diaz, I mean, that's the first time I saw Tony actually looking old. Maybe it's due to the weight gain. Maybe he didn't train properly. I don't know. I mean, I'm a big Tony Ferguson fan. I would love to see him come in super duper shape, motivated, looking like the old Ferguson. Because if Tony comes in even half of what he was, I think he can put it on Bobby Green. Tony used to be so overwhelming. Again, like I said, just a tornado of violence. If you try to shoot on him, he could catch you with a Darce choke. Super tricky on the mat. He also has the ability to ankle pick you. The takedowns are there for him if he applies himself. I don't think Bobby Green is necessarily easy to take down though. But point being, overall, prime versus prime, I think Tony Ferguson's a better fighter. But I don't think he's in his prime right now. And I just see Bobby Green picking him apart. Nothing against Bobby Green. I try not to be biased, but I don't want to see Tony beat up. But who do you give him to fight? I mean, Bobby Green should be the right guy. So what I see happening in this fight, I see Bobby Green being difficult to take down. I see the option for the takedown not really being there for Tony. I see Tony being slower reaction time and reflexes, trying to be like creative and crazy on the feet like he used to be, and he's just going to be slow to the punch, and I think Bobby Green's going to piece him up. And even though Tony has a granite chin, over time, I mean, chins get cracked. Bobby Green hits hard, and it could be like an accumulation of strikes that takes Tony out. It's very possible. I haven't seen Bobby Green gas in a fight. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I think he has good cardio. Cardio was a weapon for him. I don't think that's going to be on the table for him either. How I see the old Tony winning this fight? By being more diverse, creative on the feet. Don't try to box Bobby Green, make it into a dirty, crazy, wild brawl. Mix things up, occasionally go for a takedown, try to pick his ankle. Vintage Tony. Put the pressure and the pace on him. And yeah, I can see Tony via decision or submission. But present day, guys, I just don't know. I'm honestly leaning towards Bobby Green. If I could put a ratio on it, I'm going to say 60-40 Bobby Green. TKO stoppage is possible. Maybe more likely a decision win. Again, I don't want to see Tony beat up. I can't say that I'm excited for this fight. I guess we'll see what happens. But you guys let me know in the comment section. Do you like this fight for Tony Ferguson? Who do you have winning and why? Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you want to support the channel and you enjoy the content, hit that like button. If you would be so kind, share the video. Helps to get on the algorithm. Thanks so much for the help, guys, and support. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, take care.